Let's check out Silly Billy from Friday Night Funkin'. My name is Marco. I'm a former pro opera singer. I love talking about video game music. I love talking about video game music emotionally. Here we go. I love that this voice is almost always the bass, the left hand. So the key components of music are melody, rhythm, and tempo, right? And this voice is basically the one that is sustaining the rhythm and obviously the lower harmony of these two. Whenever there's a harmony, this voice is always the highest and this voice is the lowest. And they do trade off. I think I heard that over here somewhere. And what I find really interesting is that this voice is the really rhythmic centered voice, whereas this voice is the really melodically centered voice. And it's also cool because this character comes up, touches the mirror or whatever, and then this character emerges and is obviously taller. And I also think that the taller, so this is something that's really interesting about voice and singing. Slightly unrelated, but also very interesting. So if you look at the size of this person, okay? Now, if you're a lower voiced singer, your chords are wider. And if you're a higher voiced singer, your chords are smaller. One of the interesting things about singing is that when you have lower notes, your chords vibrate lower, your chords vibrate slower. Whereas if you're a high voice, as you move up into the range, your voice vibrates faster. And so this is kind of a fun, if you've ever seen really, really tall people, they usually have low voices. It's really interesting. And so whenever I see a tall person, now I know this is the same character, but like if I ever see a tall person, I always assume they have a lower range. And then a smaller person is almost always going to have a higher range. And it's really, really cool to see this. And that was one of the reasons why I was kind of a rare voice type, because I'm 6'2", 73 inches, I guess. Not that size matters, but the point is that I was rare because as a lyric tenor, which is the highest of the males, if you're not counting countertenors, I could sing really high with a full-bodied throat. Whereas people basses my size, we look the same, but they had lower voices. So most of the time, tenors actually come kind of short. And in my particular case, I was tall. I was 6 feet when I came out the womb. You know what I mean? So all that to say, anyway, all that to say, like, it's really cool to see that this voice is the voice that's like leading the lower section of this and is much more rhythmic. Now, I know that they battle obviously here, so there's a bit of contrast, but I do find that the size differences and how this voice is getting the melody line is pretty cool. Let's see. Let's continue. Can you talk about how sick that melody line is? Just for the sake of stopping, just to talk about the melody line. Like, listen to how cool this is. First of all, I love rhythm games. I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm actually like a rhythm game fiend. I tried Friday Night Funkin'. It's a little bit hard for me, but like, check this out. That's so cool. And that's interesting because, I mean, when he gets shorter, he does go up in pitch. It's a little bit higher. But also here it's cool because we see the rhythm of what we need to, I assume what we need to press on this side in the mirror. So again, I also think that like the story here is kind of interesting because we're only getting one frame. And yet we can deduce and create a bunch of scenarios unless there's like a specific story in place. But even if there is, I mean, we can create a bunch of scenarios for why these two are fighting and what that represents and what it means, right? It's kind of fun because obviously it's a battle with the self, right? It's a battle about like acceptance possibly. But I love that there's like this inherent clash, and also just that like this person is providing the rhythm and the melody, and then we're going to match that and also try to beat them at their own game. Still rhythmically focused. But here too now. That's crazy hard. Nice rhythmic shift. Key change. That's such a sick little corner again. Listen to how good that melody is. Also, I'm kind of like thinking to myself, like as I'm listening to this, I'm like, what do I think that they're saying? Like it almost feels like you can't beat me. I'm going to be able to rise up against this. You know, you're my worst enemy. I promised myself that I would vanquish you. I promised myself that I would overcome all of this nonsense and all these difficulties in my life because you don't have a hold over me. I'm strong and capable. Like that's kind of what the rhythm reads to me. And then this guy's like, oh yeah, really? You really think so? Who knows what they're actually saying, right? But there's something really cool about this where it does feel like this antagonistic push and pull where one is saying, no, you're not going to control me. And the other saying, yes, I am. It's kind of like a Jekyll and Hyde kind of thing. It's really neat. And that's this is the closest we've gotten to like a call and response where this character said exactly what they were saying and then we mimic it exactly. And I think that's really fun because we're dealing with the self. So we have this internal battle between the two of us, and they're us. And how many times have you looked at the mirror and been like, come on, dude, like get a grip or like whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's cool that there is this interesting, like, you can't be without me. Yes, I can be without you. You can't be without me. Yes, I can be without you. You know what I mean? And interestingly, based on their music, this is actually where it feels like they're most connected, where it feels mostly based on harmony and matching rather than trying to one-up each other. And I think that that's also really fun too. If you listen back, you can kind of hear how there's a merging of sound here. Not here, right here. Now they trade. This voice was supporting that voice for a second. Yeah, this song is sick. This song is crazy. There's so much going on in there, and I think what's really cool is that none of it's done with like traditional instruments. This is all done with like synthetic sounds, and it's incredible too because you get purists a lot that I don't know if I've ever mentioned this before, but purists will be like, oh well, I've had people on the channel even that have been like, oh well, it's not the real thing or whatever, and it's like that is a really emotional piece, and especially when you add in the actual like lyrics, and I don't feel like I was too far off there with that feeling of like looking in the mirror and trying to process who you are and stay enough to look at me and be proud to say I'm whatever I'm me. I can't remember. But a point is that like the amazing thing about music is that we live in a time period where we can create stuff like this. And this is a meaningful way to look at music and to feel music. And wow, what an absolute banger. I mean, like that's like prime time gym music, prime time music to like listen to when you're trying to get amped up before a test or something. You know what I mean? Prime time music to just vibe with because it makes you feel empowered. It makes you feel like, all right, I got this. And also on top of that, I think like having the rhythm game elements of that really make it fun and really make it exciting and a challenge worth overcoming. Rhythm games are crazy, and I think they're actually underappreciated because they're such a niche or a subsection of the video game sort of market. But rhythm games are fascinatingly cool, not only because I think that they do teach basic rhythm and how to like keep a steady beat, but also because they're really fun. And I think people sleep on them a lot. So yeah, that was really fun to listen to. Silly Billy, I'd be up to listen to more Friday Night Funkin'. Now, aren't these all just mods? I can't remember exactly how this works, but yeah, definitely let me know if you want to hear some more. And thanks a ton, and I'll see you later. Bye.